Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld podcast, usually available only exclusively on Bitchute, Smaulgld.com, and to Smaulgld patrons and Smaulgld Subscribe Star members. However, this will be put on YouTube since it does deal with one of the reasons why I left YouTube. It deals with censorship, and today's topic is Twitter, in its biggest censorship act yet, bans Bitchute. That's right, absolutely banned links coming from Bitchute. Now that ban has been slightly lifted. Let me show you what happened just a couple of weeks ago, and then I'm going to tell you the genesis of the story, some of the backstory of how it came to be. Now Bitchute, as you know, is a large video sharing platform, and it's user-generated content. Bitchute itself doesn't load up information. It's similar to YouTube, or the original concept of YouTube, and both platforms enjoy the Section 230 immunity because they're not publishers, they're merely platforms. And so Bitchute is a smaller YouTube. But Bitchute has been growing a lot lately. Bitchute, most recently, became a top 1,000 website or destination in the United States. It currently, as of today, is the 819th largest site, showing really exponential growth in the last just 90 days and really over the last year or so. And it's the 2,301st website worldwide. And that poses somewhat of a threat because the more information that can get out on alternative platforms other than YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, then their monopoly and their ability to control the narrative starts to fade away. Now, in a way, that's good for them because they can argue we're not monopolies and we have these other platforms, viable platforms, but they undercut that argument by using their monopoly power to try to quash the growth of competitors. And that's exactly what Twitter is doing. Here's what appeared. I discovered this within hours of the ban. I had a video ready to go. I was going to upload it. I did upload it on Bitchute, and I was going to share it on Twitter, and also sometimes I send them via direct messages. And I tried to upload the video. This isn't the screenshot of what happened. This is what happened after I tried to show people what happened. Twitter has banned any link coming from Bitchute. So if you try to put a Bitchute link onto the Twitter platform, it basically stopped it. It said, nope, something's wrong. Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. Let's give it another shot. No. There was no other shot. I gave it many shots. It says at the bottom, we can't complete this request because this link has been identified by Twitter or our partners, their far left partners, as being potentially harmful. Now, all it was a link to my Smaulgld channel. Now, they're not saying specifically that the Smaulgld channel is dangerous or harmful. They're saying that the entire Bitchute platform is harmful. This is a first. Now, we've seen Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube all ban individuals. Alex Jones or their websites, Milo Stephanopoulos, David Icke, Stefan Molyneux, a whole bunch of characters. And they can point to something or something that those individuals said. Now, whether they violated the terms of service is all debatable. That's not the point. The point here is this is the first time that I'm aware of that Twitter has banned an entire platform. Because when you ban Bitchute, you ban thousands and thousands and thousands of creators, many of whom are not banned, many of whom by Twitter's own terms of service don't violate their terms of service. In fact, some of the content on Bitchute maybe Twitter favors. Who knows? There's just many content providers on Bitchute. But this ban is saying that anything that comes from Bitchute is harmful, and they're not going to allow it. In fact, the ban was so deep, if you tried to send a direct message with a Bitchute link in it, it said, no, puppy. You can't send that at all. And that is one of the most censored things I've seen. Now, I did see Dr. Mercola. Now, he is an individual and he has a website, and his content obviously isn't as diverse. But of course, his website promotes alternative cures, or not even cures, but alternative medicine. A lot of it based on just healthy living and supplements. But you cannot post a Mercola.com link on Twitter, nor can you send it via direct message. Now, we saw Zero Hedge also got banned a while back, and you were not able to send Zero Hedge links or post Zero Hedge links. Those links, I mean, that ban has also been lightened to the point now where they give a warning anytime a Zero Hedge link is shared. And again, Zero Hedge is an editorial website. That's a pretty far-reaching censoring act, much further than just censoring an individual, because Zero Hedge does have a diverse group of contributors, as well as the content providers, the publishers' own points of view. But still, one can argue that Zero Hedge does have editorial content over the platform, and as a general rule, Twitter don't like it. Doesn't like it, so they're gonna censor it. But this Bitchute ban is even deeper because Bitchute has no editorial content, and indeed, the editorial content that it does engage in is really just the removal of content that would be illegal. It doesn't otherwise censor information on the platform. Now, this ban has since been lifted, but not lifted in a way that's useful or helpful. They now allow you to post a Bitchute link, but when the visitor clicks on the link on the Twitter platform, they get this warning, warning, Will Robinson. This link may be unsafe just because it comes from Bitchute. It could be a video about gardening. It could be the most harmless video by anyone's objective standards, but they're saying it may be unsafe. And then they give it a catch-all. It may be spammy or unsafe. Well, it could be anything is what they're saying. It's what they're saying is don't click on it. We don't want you to click on it. We don't want Bitchute to grow whatsoever. And they're saying it could be a malicious link that could steal personal information or harm electronic devices. Now, there's no evidence that any Bitchute link has ever done that. That's actually true of any link that may be online, unless you have some type of virus detection. There's no way you can say that any link you click on isn't malicious. So they're doing this catch-all saying, look, and it also undermines people's confidence in Bitchute. So what's the problem? You can still post the links. Well, some people might say, well, there may be a malicious link here. They don't know anything about Bitchute, and they somehow trust Twitter. Yeah, some people do. Or they say maybe it's spammy links that mislead people or disrupt their experience. Now, there's nothing spammy about Bitchute other than if they're posting, someone's posting the link to something that is spammy, but Bitchute in of itself doesn't promote spam. It's a general platform. That's the definition of a platform. It doesn't make these editorial decisions. Violent or misleading content that could lead to real-world harm. Well, yes, that is possible. You could find violent or misleading content on Bitchute, just as you can find violent or misleading content on Twitter, violent or misleading content on YouTube, violent or misleading content on Facebook. You get the picture. And then certain categories of content, if posted directly on Twitter, are a violation of the Twitter rules. Well, that's true of anything. And we don't even know what the Twitter rules are. And then they have a big blue button, back to previous page, back to scrolling your Twitter feed. Don't click on this Bitchute link. It may be unsafe. There's so many potential things wrong with this Bitchute link that you're probably going to click back. I don't know what the metrics are because these are going to be Twitter's internal metrics, but I just wonder how many people actually ignore the warning and continue. Generally, when somebody warns you, there's certain people that just like to ignore warnings. There's other people that like to heed warnings. And I would say a certain percentage are definitely not going to click through unless they're convinced that Twitter's full of it. And where I'm not sure that happens. So this definitely is going to undermine the traffic, and it has its intended effect. They probably realized they went too far with the absolute ban, but there we are with that. Now, how did this all come about? All right. Back in July, there was an article by one of these Southern Law Poverty Center, we don't like hate when all they do is hate anyone who doesn't agree with them. But there was this organization called Hope Not Hate. And they're not that big. And I don't know why Bitchute even paid attention to them, but let me explain what happened. They put out a report warning people of the dangers of Bitchute. It's a platforming hate and terror in the United Kingdom, as if that's the intention of Bitchute. And Bitchute had got advance notice of this report that was going to come out, and they decided they were going to respond to it. I'm going to go through what their response was. But here's the headline of the Hope Not Hate report, or introduction to the report. Bitchute exists to circumvent the moderation of mainstream platforms. That's their opinion. It just exists perhaps to provide a more free platform, or a platform which allows freedom of speech more than YouTube. And it's increasingly an important hub for terrorist propaganda and incitement to racist violence and COVID-19 misinformation. Now, COVID-19 misinformation is obviously debatable. There's a debate over masks, the mask debate. Sounds like the jerk-off debate. Or the debate over hydroxychloroquine, which, of course, the, quote, mainstream platforms, YouTube, Google, Facebook, and Twitter, have absolutely banned any discussion around hydroxychloroquine as being basically quack medicine. And any doctor who promotes that, they're a quack, you're a quack, everyone's a quack other than Dr. Fauci, and they don't want that information to get out there. But this is what the headline of Hope Not Hate is, that you're going to find stuff on Bitchute that might provide some information about COVID-19 and alternative remedies, and about hydroxychloroquine, and studies that show who's impacted by the disease and so on. Now, this is the same nonsense they pull with climate change or global warming. There is no debate. Now, of course, that's very anti-science to say that the science is settled. There is no such thing as settled science. There's only settled math. And now the woke social justice warriors are saying 2 + 2 isn't 4. That's some type of white supremacist social construct, which I don't quite understand. But for most logical people, math is irrefutable and science is debatable. They used to think that the sun revolved around the earth. Now they say the earth revolves around the sun. There's been so many different theories, scientific theories that have been tested. There's really not the same type of law of science as there are law of mathematics. But I digress. Point being is that the opening sentence shows where Hope Not Hate's bias is that Bitchute exists so that the mainstream points of view are not accepted. Well, yeah, that's what you call an open and free society, that there is no one view. Yes, there are extremist views. What they've deemed is anything is extremist if they don't agree with it. Anything is racist if they don't agree with it. Anything is hateful if they don't agree with it. And I think that's where the problem is. Now, clearly, I'm not saying there aren't things that are racist, there aren't things that aren't hateful, there aren't things that are quackery. Of course there are, and they exist. And I don't believe that it's any one platform's job or organization to weed it out. I think Obama said this, the antidote to bad information is more information. And he's right there on that. Someone says something stupid, you kind of want to know who it is and what he said and why he said it, and perhaps you can counter what they said. But just to ban stuff, like banning doctors, that doesn't make any sense because they say they believe in science. Well, presumably, thousands of doctors who cite studies and went to medical school and graduate and have medical practices, I think they believe in science. Okay, so this is what the Hope Not Hate starts off with, and they claim to be alarmed at what's going on Bitchute, and that this is solely just to circumvent the ban that most major platforms have placed on sharing of content. And they're happy that they're seeing censorship across the board on these large platforms, and they're not happy that Bitchute is not doing it. And they're saying that this is a place where Bitchute is willing to host hateful content, and that is the unique selling point of the platform. No, it's not. I'm not on Bitchute because I want to post hateful content, or maybe they think what I say is hateful, but I don't dwell in a lot of the social issues. I'm there because I just don't like the censorship that YouTube engages in on other content providers. I was never subject to any censorship on YouTube that I'm aware of. That the platform is dominated by content and producers that would have been removed from other platforms. Well, yeah, if you take away someone's platform, mainstream platform, perhaps unjustifiably, of course they're going to go somewhere else. I mean, these are all selling points to me for Bitchute, not some reason to get them shut down. And then it says that Bitchute is knowingly playing host to terrorist propaganda. Now, that is an accusation that can only be proven in court. It's very hard to prove someone's intention. I don't think, and I don't know the personal intentions of the owners of Bitchute or the operators, but I have no reason to believe that they want to play host to terrorist propaganda and to incite violence. And then they say they've identified 114 videos in support of prescribed terrorist groups on Bitchute, and 23 in support of national action, 86 videos promoting the Islamic State group. Now, I've seen that stuff on Twitter. I mean, it does exist. I wouldn't say Twitter wants to promote it. Maybe they do. I think it would be somewhat slanderous to insist that Twitter wants to promote pedophilia or wants to promote Islamic terrorists or whites, whatever it is. I don't think that that's their intention. It may be, but I don't have evidence of that. And certainly I don't think Hope Not Hate has evidence of the knowledge that Bitchute wants to do these things. And then it says actively promotes conspiracy theories and misinformation. And I think that was relating to some of the things that Bitchute may, on its Twitter feed, they may post a video by someone, probably someone who's been kicked off of YouTube for promoting a conspiracy theory about hydroxychloroquine. They may post that video. Now, Bitchute itself, full disclosure, has been kind enough to retweet many of my videos. Very grateful for that. It's helped grow my channels to, it's still under 500 views, 500 subscribers, but still, I get about the same number of visits now on my Bitchute channel as I did on my YouTube channel, which is about 400 or 500 visits per video. And on YouTube, I had 4,000 subscribers. I have 10 times fewer of the subscribers on Bitchute, and I have the same audience. So I'm happy with the platform. And then, of course, they say this cannot, not of course, but Hope Not Hate says this can't go on, change is needed. And it says, here's the call to action. Major social media platforms, including Facebook and Twitter, should ban the sharing of Bitchute links on their platform. Which they did. Sounds to me like they took their cue from Hope Not Hate, thereby significantly reducing the impact of this extreme and dangerous material. Law enforcement investigate Bitchute for distribution of content that breaks British law. Well, I'm sure they don't need, British law enforcement doesn't need Hope Not Hate to tell them how to do their jobs. Obviously, in the modern world, online is one of the places where law enforcement should be heavily involved and should be examining platforms and should have their own forensics of being able to detect what terrorists are doing. They don't need Hope Not Hate to tell them, oh, over there, mate, over there, look over there. They got on Bitchute, mate. There's a terrorist over there. That's basically what they're saying that they should do. Government should introduce an online harms bill that includes meaningful consequences for bespoke platforms such as Bitchute. Bitchute is not a bespoke platform. In fact, you could argue that Twitter is a bespoke platform because every hashtag that they trend is all for left-wing causes, which some people might find hateful. The idea behind Bitchute, Twitter, Google, YouTube, and the reason they would have this Section 230 immunity is that they're not bespoke platforms. I haven't seen anything that shows that Bitchute is bespoke, that hosts, promotes, and distributes terrorism, extremist, and hateful content. Now, extremism and hateful content are all very subjective. Everything to someone like Hope Not Hate, everything is far right. Everything is far right, radical, extremist, white supremacist. They disagree with it. Now, terrorism is probably a little more objectively defined, but extremism and hateful content, that's, I think, is less objectively defined. All right, so as a result of our research, they're saying Facebook has deleted swaths of links to Bitchute posts on our own platform. Just an aside, I don't share Smaulgld content on Facebook very often, but when I do, I never promote it. You can pay to have Facebook promote it. And I clicked on the promote button after I posted a Bitchute link, And it said I was not allowed to promote this. And I thought, oh, I get it. They're trying to ban Bitchute. You know, they don't want anything from Bitchute. This is before the recent ban. And the rationale, they were saying that the word Bitch is offensive and could be hateful, and they're not going to allow me to promote a link that has bitch in the title. So I didn't even notice it. It's Bitchute. Bitchute. But that's not, again, was not the, at least that to my understanding, that's not why Bitchute picked the title Bitchute, or the name Bitchute. Okay, so Bitchute gets winded that this thing is going to come out, and they want to respond to it. Now, my initial reaction to this is you don't respond to this nonsense. It's a one-way conversation. They have deemed you hateful. They have said what your intentions are, and you are basically a racist, white supremacist, bigoted, homophobic, whatever it is. You are a bad person. So you can't defend if you're a bad person, you can't defend yourself. You can't appear good in their eyes and say, well, here's what we've done. But that's what Bitchute tried to do. They said response to hope, not hate. Now, I don't think Bitchute had any misconceptions of what they were doing here, that somehow hope, not hate was going to say, oh, I get it. You guys really are good guys, and you're not terrorists, and you're not really hateful people, and you're not racist, and you're not trying to promote hate. But that's basically what Bitchute tried to do in the response. They said that they were aware this thing was coming out, and they wanted to reach out directly to Hope Not Hate and ask for the report, and more specifically, the list of terrorist content they had found. So what they're saying is, Bitchute, is show us this hateful content, and if we deem it hateful, or if it's terrorist for sure, we're going to take it down. And they readily admit in their response, Bitchute is a startup. It's growing incredibly fast in a market that's been monopolized by YouTube. There are millions of videos on Bitchute, which is true, and thousands of videos are uploaded daily. Now think about that. It's very hard to upload. Even Facebook, with all the money they have in AI, they couldn't knock down that hydroxychloroquine doctor's video for a couple of hours. Anyone can upload anything. I can upload, you can upload something, would have the most offensive and disgusting content on it, and it would take a while for it to get taken down. Now, for a smaller company like Bitchute that's growing fast, they don't have the resources to do this. Now, Twitter and Facebook have the resources not only to have AI, but to have a host of moderators, which we'll get to. Bitchute is claiming they're going to also hire some moderators because, according to the letter, they don't want any terrorist content on their website. It says there are millions of videos on Bitchute and thousands of videos are uploaded daily. We have removed thousands of videos that violate our terms of use, but we're improving our moderation systems, and we know we need to do more. Working hard to introduce new policies and processes will further improve our ability to remove illegal content. Now, notice they say illegal content. Hateful content is not illegal. Maybe in the UK it is, but in the United States it isn't. The Supreme Court has ruled there's no prohibition against hate speech. Now, as a private company, you can make determinations on what hate speech is. You could say, if you show pictures of Stalin and left-wing stuff, that's hateful. Well, that's not technically illegal, but you can call it hate speech, but hate speech is not illegal. Or you could say Hitler is hate speech, but showing pictures of Hitler, at least in the United States, and swastikas in most jurisdictions is not illegal, but I believe in Germany it is. So that's all jurisdiction by jurisdiction. And I think what Bitchute is saying is their standard for censorship is that which is illegal, not that which is, quote, harmful. I mean, harmful is such a, you can fit so much under the auspices of harmful content. Harmful to whom and in what harm? Then everything is potentially harmful. Living is harmful. Food is harmful even though it's good for you because it has stuff in it that's not good for you, that's harmful and eventually will kill you. Just by the fact that living is a form of dying. I mean, that's just harmful. You could argue that. Just not arguing that point, but I'm arguing the point that one person's definition of harmful is not the same as a legal definition of what is legal and what is illegal. And they're saying they're working hard to introduce new processes. Now, this kind of sounds like they're groveling to hope, not hate, but there's a bit of a strategic issue here saying, look, you've made this accusation. We're going to carry on with our business, but here's what we're doing. And here's the context we want to put it against. As a small platform, we have limited resources and encourage organizations like Hope Not Hate to help us improve our processes. So they're taking the higher moral ground. They're saying, look, you find all these problems, show us that you're just not prejudging us, which they did. They said that the whole purpose of Bitchute is to provide a platform for hate, essentially. And they're saying, help us improve and enter into a direct dialogue with us. Now, I haven't heard that they have. I think what they wanted and they got was the ban on Bitchute. Studies have shown that, and here's a good point. Studies have shown that banning people from online platforms pushes them to other networks based in remote jurisdictions where there's no accountability, no oversight, no possibility for improvement, and where people may be propagandized by groups that do have extreme agendas. Now, if you're trying to prove a case in court that Bitchute intentionally wants to promote terrorism, well, here's Exhibit A that they don't. Now, you could say, why respond to these people? They're not really responding to Hope Not Hate. They're responding to the general accusation that has to go answered, that they exist solely to promote hate and terrorism. And they're basically saying, no, we don't. And if you, Hope Not Hate, even though you've mischaracterized us, have any information on terrorism on our site, let's have at it. Then it says, no one should want that. We do not want that. And Bitchute can play a major role from that happening. And Bitchute also makes another self-serving statement, which they all make, these platforms. Bitchute is and always has been a neutral platform. Well, I'd say Bitchute always has been a neutral platform far more than the others. We've already taken steps to address the gap between the intent of our guidelines and our ability to enforce them. And they talk about how they're going to add a moderation team. And they say we've been seeking outside existence with gaining access to automated detection technologies like those deployed by much larger organizations. But even so, we've seen those large organizations still cannot prevent the type of content that they don't want on their platform. Now, Bitchute presumably is going to tolerate more content. That's okay. That's a good thing, as Bernie would say. And then it says, since we launched 3 years ago, we've made many thousands of social media posts covering a diverse array of topics and opinions from a wide range of users. We never thought of these as endorsements of either the creators, their content, or the views, and were intended to stimulate debate and also to drive traffic to the Bitchute site. Now, it says, moving forward, we decided to make changes how we utilize social media. Now, I thought this was a mistake because, let me show you something, what YouTube does. YouTube promotes its creators. They send out all types of emails to its creators promoting certain creators, but they're all about LGBT, BLM, and so on. I'll give you an example. On Twitter, here is just an example of what YouTube will promote a content creator. They're not going to promote Smaulgld. And I wrote here in response to what I just read you that Bitchute says they're going to rethink what they promote on their Twitter feed. I put YouTube freely promotes its creators on Twitter, while Bitchute is now self-censoring in response to a hate group watchdog article. Watchdog, I wrote. But here's YouTube creators. Now, if this isn't the most far left thing you could possibly imagine, which could be deemed harmful to Christians, it says, being the minority of a minority, I understand what it's like to be oppressed, and I would never wish that upon anyone else. Lawrence Tyson and friends discuss the black LGBT plus community and Black Lives Matter. Okay, fine. I have no issues with YouTube promoting this content creator, this point of view, but that does, in a sense, maybe adds an element of them being a publisher. Although I don't think so. I think other things that YouTube does and that Google does make them a publisher. I think I guess if you were to establish a pattern that they only show when they highlight or retweet their creators that they're all from one particular point of view. I haven't done a study on it, but I just noted this anecdotally that YouTube has no trouble promoting content of its creators, and I don't think that Bitchute should not do the same. I think Bitchute should be able to promote its creators, especially if it has popular creators, ones that have been removed from YouTube, ones that are not promoting illegal content. And just because you don't like it and it's not illegal, that's my stand. Now, some people disagree and they want more moderation. Fine, then don't go on Bitchute. But what I don't like is if someone posts a link on Twitter. Now, if you're not following that person, you're never going to see that person's feed, so you're never going to see a Bitchute link. What they're doing is they're prohibiting people who follow a certain person on Twitter from seeing their content. That's all they're doing. They're not preventing people who don't want to see it from seeing it. They're never going to follow that person. But one thing Twitter does do, and they make damn sure you see the hashtags they want to promote, because they trend stuff that they handpick. And then they put in their feed blue check marks that they've granted, and it's mostly anti-Trump stuff, and you have to see it. You can block those accounts. You're still going to see those accounts when Twitter promotes those hashtags. And every day, I don't have examples of them right now, I'll do another video on it, but Twitter is constantly promoting hashtags. They're definitely not necessarily organic. They're ones that they've picked. Ones that are either a top story from the Washington Post, the New York Times, or generally just some random person hand-selected that they want to promote some anti-Trump meme, or I think yesterday it was something about Trump having urinary problems or Pissgate or something. And then they just put all the top ones that they want to show you, and then you get the point. Oh, Trump's a pisser, something like that. I don't know. All right. Now, the other thing before we move on is Twitter. Now, Bitchute went ahead and noted that there's hateful content on Twitter. Content that's far more dangerous than maybe a video on vitamin D or hydroxychloroquine. It said far-left social media site implicated in child sex trafficking. Now, I don't blame Twitter for this. I don't. And I don't blame Bitchute for stuff on their website. They all need to do a better job of taking stuff down. But it just seems that Twitter is hyper-aggressive in taking down COVID-19 stuff, or conservatives, and they don't seem to be as concerned about, presumably, child sex trafficking and pornography on its site. And let's see here. Kirstie Alley. She says, just one tweet today to Jack and Twitter, create a category and report system to permanently cancel child pornography and abuse accounts and take them out swiftly. Hire a task force if needed. No, they have a task force to get rid of, quote, hateful content, but they don't have a task force to permanently cancel child pornography and abuse accounts. And I know they'd rather take down tweets with hydroxychloroquine, pronoun misgendering, American flags in them, anything but dealing with potential child pornography and other trafficking issues on their website. And we know that that's what Twitter bans. Twitter bans doctors talking about hydroxychloroquine. Doctors citing peer-reviewed medical studies. Not just one, but many of them. And just taking them down and saying, they're no good, they're harmful. I cannot see how that is harmful to have a debate. And we know what's going on. They want one point of view. Their monolithic point of view is very Stalinist. And it's very real. And this is why I don't use YouTube. Because you don't know the people that use YouTube. Well, they must be self-censoring. Because my YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the bell. Like, share, and so on. They're building their business on it. They don't. I've heard so-called free speech advocates, libertarians, and so on saying, well, I'm not going to say this or I'm not going to say that. They're protecting their business. I understand that. But their business is going to suffer when they eventually get tossed off anyway. And I don't think that it's the right stance to take, but do what you got to do. If you think YouTube is where you should be, hang out there. I mean, if you're a content provider, I think it's insane to think you're going to last there or to try to hope the government does something for you. And if you're a user, you're going to miss out on your content providers, and you're probably not going to get the type of content you want from your content providers because they've probably already started self-censoring. And also, you'll never know what they won't talk about. Good stories, because they're concerned about losing their YouTube channel. All right, let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you soon. By the way, if you've enjoyed this or any of the Smaulgld videos, please consider becoming rather you not become a Smaulgld patron, because they have censorship issues too, and they may go out of business, becoming a Smaulgld Subscribe-Star member. Now, both patron and Subscribe-Star do take a fee, which kind of sucks when you put in $5 a month and you get $4.35, but it is what it is, as they say. Or you can donate via PayPal. Same issue with PayPal. They take a fee. Or you can, the best is if you really want to support Smaulgld, I do appreciate. I do have a PO box set up, and people send from time to time small items of value, nice letters and checks, or even cash. Or you can donate via Bitcoin or Litecoin at the links or the addresses and QR codes on the screen right now. Or you can visit the Smaulgld store and buy a mug. Or you can also, if you're interested in gold and silver or platinum and palladium, I do have affiliate links on SD Bullion where you can make your precious metals purchases, and then Smaulgld gets a small commission from that. So you're not really out of pocket anything. It costs no more, no less if you use those links on the Smaulgld site to go to SD Bullion or Money Metals Exchange or Golden Eagle Coin. Then Smaulgld gets a commission. You pay the same price if you visited that site directly. So thank you very much for your listening and for your patronage and support.